Welcome to the World of Concrete 360's Industry Influencer video series. I'm Bill Palmer. I'm the editor of World of Concrete 360. With us today we have Eldon, who is the founder of Structural Services, Inc., which is an industry leader in design and construction consulting services, especially related to flatwork. And so, Tip, what were you doing before you founded SSI?
Well, I began my career as a structural designer, primarily for hospitals and office buildings. Spent about 12 years doing that, and then had reached the point where I was spending all my time doing conceptual designs and project management type stuff, attending meetings, and I really didn't want to spend the rest of my career doing that. I wanted to get out into the field. I was having lunch one day with the president of the local construction materials testing laboratory. He invited me to put my body where my mouth was. So I joined him, and the idea was that after 5 years I'd take over as president of the laboratory. During that time I found that I was really interested in the engineering aspects of concrete and testing, but I really didn't care a whole lot about asphalt testing and soil testing. And as a part of my testing service, I was introduced to the F numbering system, and I saw a way to combine the technology for evaluating floors with my background as a structural engineer, and decided to start structural services.
Okay. So was it just you at the beginning?
Yeah, just me.
Just you. Okay.
Yeah, we were doing something that, well, the idea that I had was to help folks build floors that are level after they deflect. Most of the time, designers produce the drawings, contractors build it. If they don't trip on something as they walk across the floor, they assume everything's okay and they keep going. When it comes time for the tenant finish out, folks want a more level floor, and the way that they traditionally have handled that is by using an underlayment, a local level underlayment. My idea was to short circuit that process by building it right the first time.
That's interesting. So this would be mostly for suspended slab.
That was my initial thought. Of course, I started my company in 1988, and that's about when everything slowed down. There were a lot of empty office buildings at the time, and so I had to kind of lower my sights. Spent a lot of time at ACI meetings and in the slab, the slab on ground committees, and that was pretty much where the focus of my business migrated.
So who were your first employees? When did you start building up the team?
Well, my first employee was a fellow by the name of Tommy Lawrence. I had a job measuring, doing F number testing for most of the local laboratories in Dallas because they couldn't afford the equipment or didn't want to. So we subcontracted that measuring service, and I needed some help doing that. He eventually left to go back to the geotechnical area, and I guess I hired another couple of guys with testing laboratory backgrounds, and they were with me when we really started to grow. I guess about 2000 was when I hired Rick Smith. We had kind of an internal disagreement with me and the two guys that had worked with me before I hired Rick. They wanted to keep things kind of local because they had families, didn't want to travel a lot, and I felt like to have a stable business, you pretty much had to have a national footprint. So that was what we decided to do, and Rick helped me move in that direction.
Well, I just think it's interesting. It seems like you've been able to attract some of the best people that I know, especially in the flatwork business?
Oh, I'm really blessed. We I guess we started out as friends. Worked together on several of the floor committees, ACI 302 for floor construction and 360 design of slabs, and we were friends before they ever joined me as partners. But you know, Rick was the first in 2000, and then over a period of 3 or 4 years, Wayne Walker, Jerry Holland, Pat Harrison, Bob Simonelli all joined me. And that was the core group that really has taken us where we are today.
Yeah, it seems like you've had you've been involved with some of the companies that had been building all the big slabs in the country. Some of the big box people and so forth.
We worked with several of the larger developers, kind of helping them standardize their design. We really didn't want to compete with local structural engineers. We felt like that was their ballpark. But what we did feel like was an engineer or a contractor may see a handful of projects a year. So the floor is just a part of what they do. Floors are all we do. So where they might see a handful, we see hundreds. And we can bring the experience and the knowledge that we gain from those interactions to bear on the various projects. We're able to help people do a better job and hopefully avoid some of the pitfalls that end up causing disputes and creating problems on down the road.
Were there any times when you were concerned about the future of the company?
Once, yeah. My initial vision for the company was to do suspended slab consulting, and we still do that. In fact, we're the only company that does provide that service, to my knowledge. But it's something that folks had never done before, had never been exposed before, and trying to convince somebody to spend $5,000-$10,000, a contractor in particular, at the beginning of a job when he's just been awarded the contract and is scratching his head trying to figure out how to buy it out. It's a hard sell. For about the first 4 years, more money went out than came in, it seemed like. We did some damage to our savings. My wife and I sat down and had a heart-to-heart talk about whether this was going to work.
Really?
We decided to give it another year, and fortunately within that year things turned around, and by the end of 7 years I was back to the earning level that I'd enjoyed before I started the company, which was nice, and things have gone up from there.
Okay. Yeah, well, it seems like recently you've been kind of branching out and hiring some people, some kind of different people, like Bob Harris and Brian Birdwell.
Brian Birdwell, yeah. We have always tried to focus on what our clients need. Polished concrete is a big part of what folks do now. And Bob Harris is far and away the in my mind the premier expert in that field. Brian Birdwell comes from a contracting background. He had, I think, a couple of dozen golden trowels for high quality floors. So I'm blessed that they wanted to join us. But we have from the very beginning adopted kind of our creed or motto or whatever is defining excellence for our clients, whatever that may be, helping them overcome obstacles, and then delivering solutions. So if we can do that, then we've helped our client produce, improve the industry.
How do you keep such a group of stars together? Do they? I guess they all get along, it seems.
Well, yeah, they do actually. It helps that we all started as friends before they ever joined me. When we were working with ACI committees, the technical committees, most of the guys were there, and over the years we had very similar outlooks on problems and solutions, and each of us brings a different skill set to the table. My passion is suspended floors. Jerry Holland and Wayne Walker have helped Amazon produce prototype floors that are appropriate for robotic applications. We have Bob Simonelli, who is a concrete finisher, and not many consulting firms have that type of the breadth of experience and skill sets. So we're able to review initial design, run pre-slab meetings, actually have somebody on the job site to help the finishers achieve the goals that they need to, and if things head south, then we're there to help figure out what went wrong, and hopefully it was a project we weren't involved with.
So you can bring people in when as needed.
Sure. Yeah. Each of us, like I said, has a different skill set, and whenever we get calls, what I try to do, or what we try to do, is to send that potential client, customer, to the appropriate person within the company who's best suited to meet their needs.
Okay. So, what is the future of SSI? Can it survive without you? What happens?
God, I hope so. Well, that's the plan. Actually, the company's grown well beyond my initial vision. I started the company with just the idea of providing suspended slab services, and we have grown so much further beyond that narrow scope of services. And Rick Smith is a good bit of that. He has been president, or was president for the last 8 years, and he really took us through a phenomenal growth rate. We have a fantastic foundation. We've brought in a lot of new talent. Brian Birdwell took over as president in January of this year, and I'm really excited to see what he brings to the table in terms of energy and maybe a new direction for the company. Nothing stays the same. As those of us with the gray hair, step aside. The young folks step in, and they have their own ideas about what needs to happen, how structural services needs to move. But I'm very confident that Brian will continue to guide structural services in a very strong way, and hopefully will continue to be what I consider to be a leader in the industry.
Well, thank you very much for being with us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's an honor that you wanted to talk with me.
Thanks.
You bet. Take care.